Good afternoon. Good morning, Fabulites. Look, the light is really, some places you can get some really good light. I mean, some moments it's like, bam, that's it right there. That's the light. That's the moment. I got a question for you. What opens with a Lionel montage and what closes with a voiceover of Lionel's story about Troy, which we don't know if it's published or not, about a boy in its dad's shadow while another boy tries to get in bed with the boy in the dad's shadow while the boy in the dad's shadow is sleeping. The other boy gets in the bed with him. They were supposed to be watching a movie, you see, and he was trying to finish up some work, and when he got finished, he went on in there and got in the bed with him, even though the man was sleeping. If you guessed Chapter 8 of Netflix, Dear White People, I'm doing a quick recap review of the episode. Thanks for joining me. I'm Angela, and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Thanks for joining me, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, watching the series. What you think? Okay, look, I wanted to finish everything last night, but I do have to get some sleep. But I'm like, I shouldn't watch that last because it's those little short episodes and they build up. Before you know it, you don't watch the 3. That's an hour and a half. That's more than an hour-long show. That's almost a movie. Some movies are an hour and a half. They ain't even 2 hours. Yeah, so that's what's going on with me. What's up with you? So in this episode, Lionel wants to do, he pitches doing a story about Troy to his editor, and his editor thinks it's a good idea, and then all of a sudden there's this other woman who's on the staff of the paper. Was she there before? But she everywhere this episode. It's another young black woman who is on it. She is on the job. He assigns the profile on Troy to her. And homeboy is like, well, wait a minute now. So he go on and he doing his own profile on Troy. So at the end, he ends up submitting what he wrote, I believe. And, you know, he does have a little bit of an inside story because they're roommates. So maybe that makes him biased and because he likes them. And then he also seems to have a certain intuitive insight. So these were my highlights. Was there anything else that happened in that episode? We see Troy. I start to get this well, anyway. Okay. So, does it open up or early on? But anyway, at some point, baby boy Lionel is sniffing Troy's underwear. No, don't do it. Yuck, Lionel, no. And then we find out Lionel and Troy are talking about, you know, their experiences growing up or whatever. And we find out, I never even heard this term till I was grown. And they don't use that term there, but outside child. My mother uses that term. So his father died when he was young. Lionel's father died when he was young, but Lionel's father was married to someone other than Lionel's mother. So outside child, I just think that's deep, you know, a deep term. I don't know. Troy's when I tried to say, don't let the bastards get you down, my spell check, I was reviewing, writing about, Handmaid's Tale. Is that a bad word? I guess so. So it's a bad word to me. I don't particularly care for it for children who are born out of wedlock or whatever. And that seems to be very antiquated these days, doesn't it? I mean, ain't everybody out here having babies out of wedlock? That's like the way we do things now, right? Some people. Okay. So, and we find out that Troy's mother left, which, you know, for whatever reason, I'm very curious about Troy's mother. In the movie, I was wondering about Troy's mother. So in the TV show, I continue to wonder about Troy's mother. So we found out that his mom left, probably his dad, because he was getting on her nerves. But, you know, it doesn't seem like Troy has much of a relationship with his mother. And it kind of fits the vibration of the character. So I was glad to have that little tidbit because it's like, that makes sense. And then the Lionel dancing sequence, that's all I got written down. But didn't he look funny? And then Troy uses sex, you know, quite a bit, it seems. Now, in this particular scene, when I wrote that down, I was wrong. It was not actually Troy using sex. It was Lionel having a fantasy, you know, that he wanted a blowjob. But the man, or not a fantasy, he was misunderstanding what Troy wanted. Troy wanted to use Lionel's tea because he has a piss test with his father. And Lionel thought that Troy wanted a blowjob. So that was kind of like, you know, like classic sitcom misunderstanding type situation, except for a little more adult. And it actually fit the character to me of Troy. He seems to really use sex a lot. So it wouldn't exactly surprise me if he was just kind of using sex as an escape in addition to weed. He seems to have an addictive type personality to me. So it would not have surprised me, but I was wrong. He wasn't using sex. He was just using a man's pee. And you know, so we find out that Troy's dad drug tests him all the time. Is his father concerned about him using drugs? And he has all different kinds of ways of escaping and being free from his father's control that we've seen. Well, the sex, like especially the sex with the professor, but just the amount of sex that he seems to have in general. And then he continues to smoke weed, even though his dad doesn't know. And maybe there was something that had happened when he was younger that his dad, you know, I don't know what the story is, y'all. You know what the story is? All right. Thanks for commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing. We love dear white people. And dear Fabulites, be you, be fabulous. Be fabulous, you. Mwah.